Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Austin Butler!
Casting directors, we mounted an enormous global search. I mean, and really sincerely took all comers. We put out an ad in People magazine as well as working, and
that's how I got involved. Yeah.
That's right. And that man answered that ad. Well,
Elvis, I could play that.
And we got to encounter some phenomenally talented people who all had very different takes on it, but Austin there was just something different from the very beginning, and the other night when we were chatting, we were reminiscing about something that happened when Austin, in addition to the casting process that we're going through, Austin created a piece of material before we even met him that maybe, actually Austin could probably describe it better than I can, but when we saw that really early on, we knew that we were dealing with someone who's just working on a different plane.
What's it awesome?
It was, I've spoken about it a bit, but it was my agent and Denise, our casting director, had said, you know, Baz is making this film, and I had some things in my life that had, just in a month prior, somebody had told me, you should play Elvis twice. And I never heard that in my life. And then I hear that Baz was making a movie, and I knew that there was something in myself that I would come out the other side different somehow. And I'd be able to explore things in myself that would pull something out of me that maybe I didn't know I had. And so I knew I had to go after it. But I didn't know the way in. I doubted myself, you know, even though it's kind of like looking at the top of Mount Everest and going, I may die trying to get up there, but I know I gotta try. I gotta give it my best shot. And so I started doing all the research and everything. And I was watching a documentary, and they said that Elvis's mom had died when he was 23. And immediately I got chills because my mom died when I was 23. And she was my best friend, and I'd never experienced grief like that before, and I knew that Elvis and his mother, as one psychologist that wrote this book about Elvis, that said that they called his mother's relationship with him lethally enmeshed. They were so enmeshed that when she died, that something in him, like the fabric of his being, was ripped. And all of that, I just thought, okay, this is this guy that has been seen as an icon or as a Halloween costume or as these things that aren't human in a way. And I thought that's the most profound emotion I've ever felt, was that grief. And so that was in there, but I was still, you know, Denise and my agent James had said, you know, you should send Baz a tape of you singing, because we can show him your acting, but nobody's seen you sing, so why don't you send him something of you singing? And so I was watching all the movies and stuff, and I thought, you know, I'll choose Love Me Tender. And so I set up a camera, and I filmed myself singing Love Me Tender, and I watched it back, and I just saw, I never sent it because I thought, this is just impersonation. This is me trying to, you know, make my face look like Elvis's face, and that was still at the point where I had this unrealistic expectation that if I somehow manipulated my face muscularly, that I could convince everybody that there wasn't a difference in my face to his face. And it was this sort of external thing that I put on myself, that it won't be good unless you can't tell the difference in our faces. And I went on such a long journey with that, but I ended up having this nightmare this one night that this is before Baz and I met, that my mom was dying again. And I woke up from that and felt it was like the grief was so fresh. And I thought, what would Elvis do? he would sing. He would put it in a song right now. That's how he would process his emotion. And so I thought, there's nothing more true than that. So what if I just set up a camera and sit down at the piano? I'm still in my bathrobe and my hair is a mess. I haven't even taken a shower yet. And I sit down at the piano. And I thought, what do I play? And I've been sort of practicing Unchained melody, which I had no idea was going to be in the film or that moment in the film. And I always thought about it as this love song, you know, to a romantic partner. And then I thought, the words of this, I could just sing it to my mom. Oh, my love, my darling, I hunger for your touch, you know, or, you know, it's been a long, lonely time. These things, and so I just set up this camera and filmed that. I filmed one take, and I just kind of allowed myself to let all that emotion come out, and I sent that, and that's the take that
Actually, Austin's agent said to Sky, said don't tell Sky that Austin that I sent it, and then Sky said I'm going to show Austin. And then I saw him and I don't know what that is. Like, that's not an audition, but I've got to see that person, right?
Form, the way that he was able to transmit his soul into music. But you know, you're constantly looking for where the moments where that can be revealed. And so that moment of the script felt very important for me. And we had a track that we were gonna do that to. So it was, I had about 8 months or something with this track where it was very precisely choreographed, where I would spend 4 bars with the piano player and I'd say something to him and then I'd move on, go to the bass player and I'd be 4 bars with him and then I'd go to the guitar player and etc. I'd go through all the musicians and get them to play this song. And and so I've been prepping that so long. And then we got there and we filmed one take that way. And then I looked over and I saw this look on Baz's face that I haven't seen very much, which is that this is not working. You know, and as an actor, that's a really, you feel very vulnerable in that moment because you look over and you see the captain going, this isn't right. Oh no, what do I do? How do I make this better?
Also, my face was this close to yours.
Yeah.
It just came up to me.
Yeah, he came up to me but this is the brilliance of Baz and the trust of him as well, where he said, you know, can we do it live? He said they're all real musicians. Their instruments are muted right now, so they're not connected to it as well, and so there's a barrier between the two of you, between all of you, and so my heart just sunk because I thought I worked so hard. You want to do it the way that you've practiced it, and you want it to be perfect, and there's that sort of like safety blanket in knowing that this is the way that you're going to do it. But it was such a good lesson for me in all of acting, and that was, Baz says, can you do it live? So then they unmute all the instruments, and I remember that you told musicians to intentionally play the song wrong. That's how I tell the story.
Yeah, but I didn't tell you then.
You didn't tell me then,
Yeah.
but he essentially tells
It
musicians.
was really important as a technical thing that I said, look, you went out, and I didn't realize you went out and had a panic attack or something.
I'll get to that in a
You
second.
told me that later.
So then I go to the piano player. He was playing this guy Glenn, who's Elvis' piano player, and I spent 4 bars with him. He didn't get the song right, and I moved on. And the bass player didn't get it right, and I moved on, because that's the way that I felt that it needs to go. So the music wasn't right, but I was moving on. And suddenly there's this cacophony, and the air starts coming out of the room, and I start feeling like I'm gonna cave in on myself. And I go through the whole thing, and suddenly you feel like you're in complete imposter. And we went through that whole take, and I was so, I felt just embarrassed. I felt awful. And we got done with that take, and then hair and makeup comes up, and they're touching my face, and the wardrobe's coming up, and they're sewing me in and doing different things. And that was the moment that's the closest I got to a panic attack on set. Because I almost had a complete nervous breakdown. I just thought, I don't know if I can do this. And then I said, you know what, guys, could you just give me 10 minutes? And I said, I just need to go be alone. And I went into a dressing room in the back, and I just looked at myself in the mirror. It's like, it looked like Elvis looking in the mirror. And I just gave myself this pep talk, and I said, this is not about playing it perfectly. This is not about doing what you thought you were going to do. This is not about anything but the present moment. This is about you hearing the music in your mind and getting it to them. You spend 10 minutes with that piano player if you need to. And so then I went back out. And I spent as long as I needed with that piano player. And once he got it, it felt so good. And I took that energy into the bass player, and that felt amazing. And suddenly I'm hearing what my soul is telling me that I need to be here. And it was just a complete out-of-body experience. And I wouldn't have had that if we had just been trying to do it perfectly.
Well, that absolutely did. That's what makes this so